Hi, my name is Michelle, and today I'm going to be doing the Fall Food Friday collab with Fallon Moss from Moss Family TV, and I'm going to be making corn chowder. I'm going to make two versions of corn chowder. The first is just regular corn chowder. The second will be a dairy-free version of corn chowder. I'm using almond milk instead of half and half. This corn chowder I have made before for our family, just the regular version. I've never made it dairy free though, so this will be a first time today, and we'll see how it goes, and I will come back and let you know at the end of the video what my family thought of it. Frozen corn, I have yellow, red, orange, and green peppers, some bacon, some potatoes, some onions, some chicken broth, and I'm going to make two versions of this. I'm going to make a dairy free and a regular, so I have almond milk and half and half. The only corn chowder, we're going to take bacon and we're going to brown it in the bottom. But first I'm going to turn my eye on. I'm going to turn it on pretty high. I'm really not sure if that's the way to do it or not, but I do it that way just to kind of get it cooking fast. What I'm going to do with the bacon is cut it into smaller little pieces so that it'll cook faster, and so that also I won't have big chunks of bacon inside my corn chowder, because nobody wants whole pieces of bacon in their corn chowder. Grabbing like 2 pieces of bacon at a time, and then I'll break it apart a little bit as I go. And I don't have an actual recipe for this, but I'm going to try and measure out as I go so that I can kind of tell you how much I'm using. So far this is actually 4 slices of thick cut bacon. And I did not put any grease or anything in the bottom of this. Before I put the bacon in, I just threw the bacon in there. So I'm going to stir that up a little bit because it's starting to stick. I don't want it to stick, I just want it to cook. And this is a cast iron coated pan, so it's going to get really hot, so I'm probably going to have to cut it down even more. And I think I'm going to put some more bacon in there. So I'm going to grab 2 more pieces. Cook this bacon, I'm going to actually take the bacon itself out, and then we're going to cook the peppers and onions and everything just in the bacon grease. And then I will add the bacon back in before we serve it, but not until then. Probably enough bacon, but my family loves bacon, so we're going to put 2 more pieces, and I think that will be more than plenty. And then I'm actually going to cut this down some more because it is way too high. It's getting way too hot. While that's cooking, I'm going to cut up these peppers. I've got a bowl that I'm putting the seeds and the tops of the peppers in, and that is so that we can take that and feed that to the chickens. Slicing these up into small pieces. I just like to trim all that off. No particular reason. The most time-consuming part here is cutting all these onions and peppers. Well, I say all the onions, I only have 2 onions. A bowl that I'm going to put these in as I chop them into smaller pieces, just to make it easier, since I'm going to set them to the side and add them all in just a little bit. And when it comes to chopping the onion, it depends on your taste whether you chop it in really fine pieces or big pieces. You could use a food processor and chop it in really, really fine pieces if you have small children that will panic if they see onion, which I actually if they see the pepper and they don't care, they're not going to care about the onion. Bacon looks pretty much done. I'm going to get a slotted spoon. I'll just take the bacon out, that way I'll leave the grease. I'm going to go ahead and cut this burner off because I don't have everything chopped yet. But I'm going to put the bacon on this plate that I've got here. And hope that some of it's left by the time we get done with the corn chowder. So once the kids come in, they probably are honestly going to end up eating that bacon before it ever makes its way back into the corn chowder. But the goal is to have the bacon left over, and when the corn chowder is almost done cooking, to put it back into it. Alright, I'm just going to set that off the burner, and then I have a daughter that is lactose intolerant, and it kind of makes it difficult now to cook normal foods, and she was not always that way. She just became lactose intolerant in the last probably year and a half, somewhere in there. So we've been experimenting, and like last winter she didn't eat these kind of things, and last winter I made her a potato soup using almond milk, and she really liked that. These used to be her favorite things, is corn chowder, potato soup, beef stew, which the beef stew I can still make because the type of beef stew she likes is just beef and potatoes and salt and pepper and beef broth, of course, and that's it. So that's pretty simple still to make. But the chicken and dumplings, that was really her favorite. My husband will smoke the chicken on the smoker, and then we will make the recipe I found online. It's a crock pot chicken and dumplings, where you just take like a rotisserie chicken or like a smoked whole chicken, and I pull the chicken off the bone, and then I believe the recipe was one of the large cans of cream of chicken soup, and the chicken pulled off the bone, one large can of cream of chicken soup, and then like salt and pepper if you wanted to taste, but since we used the smoked chicken, we didn't ever put salt and pepper in it. And then I added a little bit of chicken broth to it just to kind of thin it up a little bit, make it go a little farther. And then you just cook that in the crock pot 3 or 4 hours. The chicken's already cooked, so you don't have to cook it long. And then you go in and you can use canned biscuits or homemade biscuits, whichever one you want. But the recipe called for canned biscuits. And it said like to quarter each biscuit and put that on top, but my family likes it to be teeny tiny dumplings, so I would like make 1/8 or 1/16 out of a biscuit. But now what I do is I found a recipe for homemade cream of chicken, so I make homemade cream of chicken using almond milk, and then I make homemade biscuit dough that's also dairy free, and then make the dumplings out of that. We discovered how to do that last year, and she loved it. So this year we decided we would branch out and try corn chowder, because she used to love to go to the old mill in Pigeon Forge and get their corn chowder. Now she goes to the old mill and has to sit and watch us eat the corn chowder, which is really bad. I hate her having to just watch us eat it. And really that red, yellow, and orange pepper is probably enough. I'm probably not going to use this whole bell pepper, but I do want to use some of it. I'm just going to end up using about half of this, because I think that is going to be too much. That to the side. I'm going to get a bag and just put this other half of this bell pepper in the bag and save it. I've got my 2 onions, and like I said, if you were just making a regular one batch of this, you could probably just use 1 medium to large size onion. And I am not very good at chopping up onions or peppers. I'm better at peppers, but onions I am awful at. I always try and chop them so fine and nice, but it never works out that way. It always falls apart right about there. I do the same thing with the other onion, but I don't really have room in my bowl of peppers over here to show you to put that onion. So I'm just gonna cut the onion up, put it in the chopper, the second onion, and I'm gonna go ahead and we'll move over here and put the onion and peppers in the bacon grease and start cooking that. We're gonna turn this back on. You can see we've got the little dribbles of bacon in the bottom. Just scrape some of that around and that'll come up as we cook. Now I'm probably gonna put this on maybe medium high heat, so about 4.5 to 5. And then I'm gonna dump my onion out of the chopper in there. I'm gonna chop the other onion really fast. Got that in there. Then I'm just gonna stir that around. You can see the little bits of bacon starting to come up already. That'll come up, like I said, as we cook the onion and stuff in there. I just take my spoon and kind of scrape along to get it up, because I don't want it to, you don't want it to stay in the bottom of the pan, because if it stays in the bottom of the pan as you're cooking the chowder, it'll get a scorched taste, because that'll just keep cooking on there. So I want to scrape that up. Get all that bacon goodness inside those onions. I think I've got most of that up. I like to let my onions cook for a little while before I add in my peppers, but that's just personal preference, I believe. I don't think there's any really reason behind that. It's just for some reason I like to let them cook first. So I'm gonna let those onions cook for just a little while. And I think I might have missed one little piece of bacon, but that's okay. We're gonna let those onions cook for just a little while, and then I'm gonna throw the peppers in and we're gonna let that cook. As onions are cooking out, I'm gonna go ahead and peel my potatoes. And what I do when I peel my potatoes, I've got a container of just cool water, and I'm gonna put the peelings in again for the chickens or the pigs, and then put the peeled potatoes in the cool water, let them kind of wash off and keep them from turning brown while I'm doing other things before I get ready to actually use them. These into small little cubes to go into the corn chowder. I'm going to take the potatoes after I rinse them off in that water. I'm just going to lay them on my cutting board. And then what I'll do is I'll take this and put fresh cool water in here. And then when I chop up the small pieces, I'll put them back in that water. Here's our onions. Have cooked down a good bit by themselves. I'm going to go ahead and throw all those peppers in there. And rake all those in there, and then we'll let all that cook together for a little while. All the pretty colors. So we'll let that sit and just kind of cook down for a little bit while we chop up the potatoes. And I just cut it into small little bitty cubes. Keep stirring the onions and peppers. I'm gonna add a little salt and pepper to this once I add the milk and stuff, but right now I'm not gonna put it in there. You can, this is up to you, add flour, just like a tablespoon or two of flour on top of this to kind of thicken all this up. But I like to wait until I've cooked it and see if it's thickened on its own, because when you add the potatoes, a lot of times it'll thicken on its own. After you've added all those potatoes and cooked it down for a while, a lot of times it will thicken on its own and you will not need to add that flour. Okay, once those have kind of cooked down for a while, I'm going to go ahead and throw in the corn. And I'm just using frozen corn, just small bags of frozen corn. And again, I am making a double batch, so I'm going to use 2. Or if you were just making 1, you could just use 1 bag of corn. Okay. And then I just stir all that in with the peppers and onions. And then we're just going to let that sit on the stove and cook together for a little while. And then we're going to add the chicken broth to it. And I'm going to go ahead and get out my second pot, because before long I'm going to need that second pot to divide this in half and put in the other one. Let that cook for a little while now, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take and kind of eyeball it and see what it looks like half, and put it in this other pot I've got sitting here. Alright, now I'm going to add in the chicken broth. Okay, and that's just one 32-ounce box there. Put it in the other pot. There's one 32-ounce container of chicken broth in each pot, and it's probably going to need a second one. But I'm going to go ahead and divide those potatoes and put them in there, and then see how much more we need to add. So my potatoes. I'm not sure. Since we're going to end up adding the milk in there, I don't think we're going to need any more chicken broth. So I think the one 32-ounce container will be plenty. And now is when I will add salt and pepper. And I've just got this 1/4 teaspoon measuring wooden spoon. And I'll just put about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. In each one. And then probably 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, since I do have those other peppers in there, and like I said, that they're not hot, but kids are eating this, so I'm only going to add 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. You can always add more salt and pepper later, but I think that will be plenty. And stir that up. And then I'm just going to let this kind of come to a boil and sit here and cook for a while. And then we'll come back and add the milk. You could add the milk now, but I like to wait, because the tricky thing of it is if you put your milk in now and cook it for too long, the milk could scorch and make it taste kind of nasty. So I'm going to just let those potatoes and corn and everything cook together for probably an hour or so. And then we'll come back and add the milk. Let me kind of show you what the right now the corn chowder is cooking, and I've got it at a boil. I'm just letting it kind of cook. And then the reason I'm boiling it like this is mainly to cook those potatoes. And I did go ahead and add another 1/2 of a box. So 1/2 of a 30, I used one whole 32-ounce box of chicken broth, but I put 1/2 of it in each. So you would end up using 1.5 32-ounce boxes of chicken broth per pot of this. And then we're going to just let this boil like this for just a little bit longer while I finish these rolls over here. And, and then I will come back and add the milk, and then let that cook for probably another hour after I add the milk. Okay, now we're going to add the 1/2 and 1/2. I'll start with 1 cup. I'm going to add 2 See how that looks? Second cup. You could use regular milk if you don't want to use half and half. Half and half just makes it a little thicker and creamier. And I think I'm actually going to add another half a cup. So that'll be 2.5 cups. And then I'm going to let that cook a little for about another 30-45 minutes. Over here with the other one, but we're using almond milk. Different spoon because we can't use the same spoon anymore. Let me bring it over here so you can see it. So this is the one with the almond milk, and it looks different. You can see it's got more of a, I don't know what color you call that, like a tannish brownish, like a tan color. It's not as creamy looking, but that is 2.5 cups of almond milk in with that. And then this one is the one with the half and half. And when I stir it, I stir the one with the half and half in it, it has more of a white or cream look to it. So we're gonna let these sit here on the stove and kind of simmer for another 30 minutes to an hour. And then we will look, I'll probably let it go about another 30 minutes and then see if they need thickening up. And if they do, then I will add a little bit of a flour mixture to them to thicken them up. So we're gonna let that sit and simmer for about 30 minutes and then we will be back. It's cooked for about another 30 minutes and it is still a little soupy. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dip a little bit of the broth or soupiness out of here. I'm gonna put it in a bowl with a little flour and whisk that together and then pour it back in. The dairy-free one here. Just show you a little bit of the liquid. Just kind of make sure not to get any of the corn or any of the other stuff. So you can see I've got some of the liquid in the bowl. A little flour in there. Just guessing at it, that's probably about a tablespoon of flour or so. And then I'm just going to whisk that together so it doesn't have any lumps. That's the main thing, I don't want lumps in it. So I'm going to whisk that together. And then I'm going to pour it back in. And I'm going to kind of use the whisk when I pour it in there too. Back in there, and then I'll just give it, kind of thicken it up a little bit. Okay. And just kind of take the whisk in the actual pot too. And just kind of whisk that around. Scrape all that out, all that I can, and then I'll just let that simmer again for probably another 15 to 30 minutes, somewhere in there. And then I'm just going to use the same bowl. That's why I did the dairy-free one first, so that I wouldn't be having the cross-contamination of the one with the half and half in with that one. But I'm going to take what I'm using is the measuring cup that I just measured out the milk with. I'm actually going to cut that down a little bit. So I'm going to try and get some of this mixture out of here. And put it in the same bowl that I mixed the other one in. Actually, I got a little pepper in there. Dip that out. This one seems a little thicker than the one with the almond milk, so I'm probably You may not have to add flour mixture to yours if you're just using half and half. Depends on how you like it, if you like it really soupy or if you like it thick. I think that's cooking a little bit too much. I'm going to cut that down. That simmer, I've got it on about 2.8, 2.5, somewhere in there. This one over here I actually have on like 2.4. You see it's getting a little hotter for some reason. We'll cook it. And you can see it is starting to thicken up a little bit. From what it was, it's not quite as runny. And as it cooks, it'll thicken some more. I'm gonna go ahead and put the bacon pieces in this one before all the bacon pieces are gone. Okay. And in this one, I'm just gonna wait and add the bacon pieces as we're ready to eat it, because not everybody wants the bacon in their chowder. So you can see it's been cooking for just a few more minutes. Again, it's thickening up a little bit as it goes. And this one in this pot has cooked down a lot more than the one in this pot. I guess that's just the difference in the pots. This one is a cast iron enamel coated, and that one is just stainless steel. Use the green onion tops to put on top of your corn chowder as a garnish. So you just chop them up really small on the tops. I don't use the bottoms, I save the rest for later. Just put this back in the refrigerator for next time. Basically, the corn chowder was a hit. Even the dairy-free version of it, she loved it. She said I had a little bit too much corn in it for her. So I think what I would do next time is add more. She said she wanted more potatoes in hers. So I think the next time what I need to do is put more potatoes and a little bit less corn. The rest of the family said the same thing on the regular corn chowder. They said that they wanted more potatoes and either creamed corn or a little bit less corn. So maybe either next time mix creamed corn with whole kernel corn and add a few more potatoes, or either just add more potatoes and less corn. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week.